Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to our continuing vigil. The days are few, maybe 2 days, 3 days at the most, until noon on the 20th of January. And this is the time when the new president will be uh, sworn in. It will be official at that time. The maybe I can help. Maybe you can help me with the news this time. There's a certain quietness pervading, but no doubt the insurrectionists have come to town. And the very fact that so many state capitals are all boarded up against potential violence is a kind of a negative victory in itself for these forces. There is talk among those who should not be speaking that way of another civil war. And I would say much more complicated um, than the original Civil War. There, the lines were pretty well drawn. Here, the different groups are so intermingled that you can never tell when disruption will occur. And the taking of hostages and uh, assassination. One of the latest things is that there was a group, I forget how it was referred to, a group which was in the building 10 days ago, 11 days ago, hunting for Nancy Pelosi, and really did, another group, intend to hang the vice president. So there was murder on the mind of a number of trained former uh, soldiers, and there were police that were apparently helping. So we had it's coming to light, an extremely dangerous situation. I suspect because of the fortifications now, there will be maybe less danger, but it's from the lone wolves that the danger may come. Already, I think two people, maybe more, two people have been who had no business closer uh, to the seat of the inauguration tried to penetrate, and one of them we know about had 500 rounds of ammunition and guns. So this can be going on. The scrutiny for snipers uh, is a is a huge task. And well, can 25,000 National Guard, I suppose, plus their experts, handle this? I heard also that members of the National Guard who would be closer to the inauguration were being privately interviewed to see what their views really were and whether they could be trusted in those delicate and responsible positions of actually guarding the dignitaries on the steps of the Capitol. I was wondering how they would prevent infiltration, because that's I would say, one of the greatest dangers at this point. Meanwhile, the presidency at present is sinking, and there is an abandonment, except for a few, of a man, in my opinion, who deserves to be abandoned. He will be leaving after some sort of pomp and circumstance on the morning of the 20th, that is, on the morning of the inauguration, after whatever fanfare is staged to see him off. Are there any thoughts that you wish to share at this point? You can turn on your video, but not your audio unless you intend to share. I have in front of us a meditation we're going to be using, and it's a very powerful one. I'm going to go through it a little bit, explain it a little bit, and then Tuya will be offering it in our usual meditation sequence. Is there anybody who would like to speak, or let's see, write? I'm going to check the chat. I shouldn't be muted. Okay, yeah. I mean, many people have tried to mute me, but okay.
You're not.
I'm not muted. Okay. Jose, looks like you have something you would like to say.
Hi, Mike, and everybody. Yes, the silence is eerie. It's like being from the tropics. It's a kind of silence preceding a storm.
Yeah.
And at this point, the new things have been there have been new videos, new revelations about what happened on the 6th of January. Very incriminating evidence. I think we will be seeing more of that as the opportunity for a trial in the Senate approaches. And there's still many Republican senators that are wavering, unconvinced about the need to act forcefully. And I think those collectively, those are the minds that need to be approached, asking the solar angels to do their work and make them see the light and the need to work at the source of this. The violence is an effect. The cause of all this is the big lie and the precedent being set that any losing candidate can claim fraud and then incite violence. It's never happened before, should never happen again. It has to be cut out at the being nipped at the butt. And this is what the opportunity in the Senate of a trial presents, to be able to just cut decisively from that big lie. And I don't see enough Republican senators ready to make that decision. It should be bipartisan. It needs to be bipartisan in the Senate. You need 2/3 of a vote to convict. But the wavering statement that I'm hearing from the majority leader, McConnell, are unconvincing to me. They need to take a harder, a firmer approach of condemning and convicting the cause of all this, including the enablers, those two senators who enabled the president in all this should be called out, should be referred to the ethics committee, and they should either retract, take back what they said, and even then, I find it incompatible with the exercise of democracy in the Senate. So there are many things that need to happen. I hope that not much will be seen in the Capitol in Washington D.C. I think the defense, the guard there is very strong. I think it would be foolish for them to openly challenge the kind of security that is right now in the Capitol. I'm not that sure about other places within cities, within the DC, in other capitals across the country. So let's keep vigilant about it. But the silence is eerie. Is something like it's a pregnant silence of something that may happen.
Appreciate, Jose, your assessment of this. I want to say when I saw the word conscience as enunciated by the present Senate Majority Leader McConnell, I thought to myself, he says, well, it's a matter of your conscience. He's lifting it maybe to a different level. Of course, he's a very savvy, shrewd man, and he always wants to be in the position where he cannot be implicated. But I thought that perhaps he was opening a door for people to think, what do I really believe in my consciousness, with my conscience at work? I hope it means something to the Republicans who have received that notification. You've seen that he has done that, right? I assume.
Yes, and this call for evidence. I mean, what we are seeing today are the people, the rioters, the people going with the violence, presented themselves at the Capitol last week. They were saying aloud, "We came here because the president asked us to be here."
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, if they want more evidence than that, I mean, never in the history of the United States has a coup has been recorded like that. I mean,
Exactly.
you had to rely on witnesses who saw something, heard something. But in this case, because of the technology, we have recordings of people saying, "We came in here because the president told us," even challenging the police of the Capitol, saying, "Hey, you cannot stop it because I came here under instructions by the president himself." So once you hear that, I don't see how you can defend that. I heard that the first line of defense from one of the lawyers, the president, would be that he could not incite violence because he was telling the truth that the election was stolen. I mean, once you hear that kind of reasoning, I cannot understand how any man and women in good conscience can hear that and say the president needs to be convicted, because that's not a defense. That's a justification for violence. So again, we need to exert pressure. Those who have senators that they can call, in my case, that they are not yet there
seated.
They need to hear from us saying that's unacceptable. This is not a partisan decision. This is a vote of conscience, and it is the nation before party. This is not partisan. This is not trying to compromise and take the middle ground between a lie. There's no middle ground between lie and truth. You can have different approaches to the truth, and then you can compromise between those two. But between a lie and the truth, you cannot compromise. And there cannot be healing and peace without truth and justice. We know from the teachings that the formula for peace is right human relations. You cannot have peace without justice. And in this case, those responsible need to be accountable and be accounted for what they did. And any other places where they have seen this happening, they need a commission of truth, some sort of way of sorting out the truth. And then after that, after the truth is revealed, then you can heal, then you can unite.
Exactly.
But not before that. So there's a lot of talk about trying to say, hey, the impeachment will be divisive. Let's just gloss over it. No, we need to understand who are the causes of this. So the same violence will not happen in the future, and those who were responsible for it need to be held accountable for it.
Yeah.
Before that, there cannot be any lasting peace.
Thank you. That's a very important point. Now, Karen, you said you would like to speak, so just put your audio on.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. I agree with what Jose has said, and the silence does seem eerie to me as well. And indeed, it looks like it will be a solemn inauguration. But today on Fareed Zakaria, there was a woman, and I don't remember her name and title, who said that the insurrectionists fear and are angry that something is being taken away from them that they are entitled to and will be given to someone who doesn't deserve it. So we must deal with the accountability for their actions and those of the politicians who have used this opportunity and their anger for their own ends. But we also must address this underlying fear and anger that leads to this behavior. The question is, and the question I'm pondering is, how do we do that? You know, I agree. I mean, I think that it's, we have to do the accountability, but we also have to address this issue.
Yes. Well, there are certain dogmatic streams of thought, even found in Christianity, which nominally at least captures the allegiance of so many in these states. DK said, look, it's a Martian scorpionic religion. That's how he described it. And as long as you feel that you are a white Christian and therefore entitled, you have resentment, not only against the elite, as we discussed yesterday, that factor of envy, correct? But against the people, the black people, the brown people, whatever, who are going to take your place. So they think, why are they getting special privileges? Why am I denied? So this is a severe psychological problem, and finally, it will only be solved through, and that's not immediately, through the proof of the survival of the inner human being of the body, and finally, that reincarnation is a fact, which is one of the major teachings of Christ this time. Then we'll have a completely different paradigm, and the illogic of the dogmatic adherence at present so forced in the Christian community will begin to really dissipate. Right now, we have outstanding, which doesn't mean they're good, but outstanding preachers and leaders who, as I said yesterday, said the betrayal of Trump is equivalent to the betrayal of Jesus. Now, as long as you're going to think in that way, what hope is there? And then the thousands, the millions who follow these people, they begin to think that way too. So we have to break the dogmatism, break the illusion. The light has to shine. And that's where so many of the educators like ourselves, you know, coming in, so many people on the second ray who have a duty to carry the light and help the bridging process. But it's not immediate. And you kind of wonder, does some kind of dreadful crisis have to occur before there is an opening to the weakening of the evil dogmatism if I can call it that. Yeah.
Well, in the sense of entitlement that, I really think that's a big thing. And I think there's just a lack of understanding, about what that is, what that means. It just seems
Yeah.
like if we could have some national discussions on that, some town halls kinds of things, it would be great. But thanks.
Well, I can see you organizing such a thing, Karen, in the Portland area when the time is right.
Well, I'm thinking about it,
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all is to understand the problem and then be really, really clear and then communicate it. It has to build. Thank you. Jesse is saying on Sunday, law enforcement members and journalists outnumbered the few people who showed up at state capitals across the nation. A few states like Michigan and Ohio had large groups show up, some wearing attire or affiliating themselves with the Boogaloo movement, which is just, I think, incredibly illogical and anarchic. Others, other than that, it was peaceful Sunday for most. And that's USA Today. And well, today is still Sunday where you are. So let's just see how that works out as we stand our ground, Thank you, Jesse. Now, are there any other statements that you would like to make before I go into this explanation, a little bit of an explanation about this meditation we're going to be using? Okay. And I think that's still Jesse, right? There can be no solution to the DT problem as long as we citizens of the U.S. allow Congress to promote lies in these bodies. Call your congresspersons to require them to be truthful. Well, yes, and that's an external act and advisable. There's still time to be doing that, of course. They are very sensitive to numbers. I guess, they are human beings just like anyone else. They fear for their future. They fear for their career. And principle sometimes takes a back seat. But I've noticed that when people stand on principle and endure a temporary loss, they oftentimes return all the stronger later. So that is a consideration. We have 2 senators has been noted, one from Texas, one from Missouri. They were largely responsible for staging this protest interiorly within the Senate and, of course, the House. And there's, well, it was just an incredibly dangerous situation. The senator from South Carolina, it's almost impossible to tell where he stands as he waffles back and forth between supporting Trump out of fear and some element of conscience bothering him. It's a very unstable presentation from him, and he is going to bear some heavy responsibility, I feel. Now, a little more about this meditation from Rule 10. It's an ashramically related meditation. And it had to do, it has to do something with what Jose was talking about yesterday that there has to be a lot of work with Maya on the etheric levels and hence the physical levels before glamour can really be attacked. There's some initial attack on glamour, and the seed group and the book give us a start. But right now, we wish to prevent the precipitation of these glamours into the world of Maya. So as a group, we focus the force at the jewel's point, and we find the veil that it can touch. The jewel's point, every chakra has its central jewel. And I believe the jewel's point in this case will be the Ajna center from which we can direct energy, the jewel in the Ajna center, perhaps the jewel as well in the center of the 12-petaled lotus, which is considered the major center for the human being. Perhaps that will be involved as well. Now, this point, carry the force from point to point, means we direct a certain energy, which is a dissipating energy, into the jewel of the various chakras, and especially the higher chakras. And we're going to project this ashramic energy into the higher chakras. However, we have to then look, there are 4 veils. Sometimes he tells us their name, but at the same time says not to overly distinguish them. The lowest of the veils is the veil of impulsion, bringing chaos. The next veil is the veil of distortion, which is sensitive to astral energy. I'm ascending now, from sublevel 4 of the etheric plane to sublevel 3. Now sublevel 2 is the veil of separation, and that is sensitive to the power of illusion. And then finally, the borderland veil is of aspiration, and that is sensitive to that attitude whereby we aspire but do not do anything practical. It removes us from responsibility, and people are quite happy to stay with that and not have to take care of the things that need correction below. Look for the energy and form behind the veil attack. Now we're going to attack these veils, and instead of chaos, we'll have order. Instead of distortion, we'll have equilibrium. And instead of separation, we'll have unity. And instead of aspiration, we'll have practical action. Now, 3, a rent exists in these veils. Moses caused a rent. He was the lawgiver. That was the first rent. Then came the huge rent that the Christ was responsible for, as the veil of the temple was rent from the top to the bottom. And then came the rent caused by Paul the initiate, which had more to do with the first ray and with synthesis. So Paul, with his first ray monad, ultimate first ray monad, represented the first ray, the Christ representing the second ray, and the tear or rent, that's what it is, and Moses the lawgiver more the third ray at a time of transfiguration. So what is this energy behind the veil? The energy is good and the energy is bad. There is an evil energy, and there is also an ashramic energy. So we're supposed to investigate, find it, and see. We're supposed to observe the rents and understand what is to come through those rents, which are higher energies which can help to destroy the veils. But from our point of view, we also have to destroy. And that will, there's a lot of first ray in this kind of first ray, seventh ray meditation. A path from where we are now in our normal personality consciousness, a path lies through the veils, giving access to the several courts between the veils. And these courts are filled with obstruction and with activity that should not be taking place. Now, we as a group, we walk on that path, which is a path of light, a path of access to something higher, starting from below and going to above. Walk on that path, wielding destruction, probably through the use of the creative imagination, and clearing out the refuse in the court. There's going to be debris, and we not only contribute to the debris which accumulates through our destructive act of not tolerating what is in those courts, but once the debris exists, we use the imagination to clear it out so that the court is clean. The court of the money changers, I suspect, is lying between the veil of aspiration and the veil of separation. And we have the story dramatized for us of what Jesus did, and I suspect it was from the manner of his behavior. I suspect it was one of the times when Jesus was using the body that they both used. He threw over the tables of the money changers and drove them out of the temple. He created a disturbance. So that gives us a kind of analogy, a kind of story of what we have to do in the various courts where activities which are not the activities which should be occurring are occurring. So we get rid of the chaos, we get rid of the distortion, we get rid of the separation, all of those illicit, unlawful activities. Now, meet the descending forces. They come from ashrams. And find the current which is yours. You work along your own soul ray line. And if you don't know what that is, remember that from Shambhala there comes destruction, purification, and organization. And the second ray is correlated with purification, and that's what we're doing. We're purifying the ethers. So you can use the second ray force. Meet the descending forces that are supporting you from the ashram. Find the current, which is yours, whatever is your soul ray, or perhaps simply the second ray. Now, this is interesting. Number 6, watch for the evil stream of force which seeks to mend the rents. By the way, I just realized something here. And Pardon me, but here it is. So I've been reading this. Watch for the evil stream of force, which seeks to mend the rents. And we see it happening right now. Oh, the insurrection wasn't really all that bad. You're exaggerating the seriousness of it. Oh, it's not important to convict this impeached president. He'll be gone anyway. Oh, this, oh, that. Trying to make things more normal, the way they always have been. Those are the evil streams of force. And they seek to close the tears in the veils of Maya. But what you do is you take the ashramic force, which is yours, project upon that stream. Now you're going to use your forehead. You're going to use your jewel in the ajna. Project upon that stream the energy of which you know. It led you from the ashram into the veils. So, you know, we can't all say we're all ashramic workers, but we can be sensitive through the power of imagination to what they would do. It led you, this force led you from the ashram into the veils. And this is what's interesting. Use this force, this stream of energy, and drive the evil back onto the astral plane, where later, you know, I mean, that place of evil is sometimes called Marakara. It's the place of Mara, or illusion, or evil, or glamour. And we can't handle all that yet. But later, when Vulcan is discovered, this great light, we will be able to stand with massed intent, and we will be able to drive the glamour back further. But right now, at least we clear the ethers, which is what Jose was talking about yesterday, with everybody being subject to so much Maya. And then finally, work with the sound. You'd have to be a pretty advanced worker to do that, because it's the monadic vibration. Work with the sound and know it as the source of power. Maybe that's not possible for all of us to do, or any of us to do, but that's where it comes from. Use first the voice, which is the will of your cooperative, soul-infusing personality, the voice. Then use the Om, which is the energy of the soul, and later, how much later, use the sound of the monad. All three together will suffice. So none of us can be expected to master this meditation immediately, but it is something that over years and working together and working intelligently and with understanding, we can begin to utilize to clear the ethers of the impediments which prevent the good energy from actually manifesting on the physical plane. I hope that's clear enough for us to operate. So are we ready, Tuya? Just run your eyes over those points. Excuse me. And if you want to be heard, you'll have to turn on your...
Yes, I'm sharing my screen now. And I'm seeing that there are in the chat. Maybe you have to read these, Michael.
Some questions on point 6 from Diane. Is the evil located in the ethers before we drive it back onto the astral plane? Yes. Why do we drive the evil back to the astral plane? Because we have to clear the ethers first before we can clear the astral plane. And people can feel whatever, and it's bad and it's glamorous, but if it can't get through onto the physical plane in a sense of manifestation, then already we are in a position which is more favorable. Instead, why don't we just transform or transmute it? Because honestly, we don't know how to do that. So let's have, we have to have humility in this. This is an advanced meditation, and none of us is in the position. Sometimes people said, looking at the Great Invocation, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. They said, oh, that's not psychologically sound. We have to deal with evil. And I just say to them, you can't do it. You're not capable. You're not capable. And what Master Moria said about this is that the handling of that kind of evil is up to Shambhala. What we have to do is just drive it back so it's not within the field of manifest activity. And then, of course, we can use and will use and continue to use the great technique of light, which the Tibetan has given us, and gradually we will help to dissipate the glamour, but we're nowhere ready to do that. When Vulcan is discovered, when people can stand in spiritual being, when the great light of Vulcan can be radiated and people have the will and fortitude, then we can be more successful in the transformation. We have to know what we're capable of doing and what we're not capable of doing. At least that's my opinion, which I'm sharing with you.
Yes, and still a few points, what we have been emphasizing many times already, that we have to define on which level we want to have an effect. We have things that we have, meditations that we are emphasizing the mental part of it, and like using mantras and some affirmations. But these few things where we are dealing with the protection, what Tibetan has been given to us, it's this sevenfold field, what we are going to create today as well. And then those colors, and then this one, and also the clamor meditation. That is where we try to go as close as physical plane as possible. I'm going to read in this meditation few quotations by DK just to give us the connection to this meditation, that it would become very real. As Michael was telling, we cannot deal with these evil beings. They are real beings. And what we can do is that we transform. That is one of the things. Then we can go further with the energies of Capricorn, which is descending into the layers of hell. But how one is doing that is that one is standing within oneself, center very strongly within the will, and then project, and in that sense moves very close to the physical plane. And then one thing what we are going to do here is also that we stand as a one unit, one unified intention and will, so that the higher forces can work through us, because this is the one of the most effective things. Those who can see and they know what to do, but we use our will because we have to use that we open our mouth. As Michael was already reading from this meditation, it is this threefold sound that we use the word, we use Om, and then the sound. The sound is for us Hebrew still, and we have to talk about that when we really think about that we can use it. But we can always do as if, as we are also taught to. From somewhere we have to start. But let us really reflect that in this meditation today we try to move as a group. And we are projecting in this meditation as well. We are going to work with the energies of Capricorn first and work with the angels, that all that is already strengthened. And then we move into the meditation that Michael was going through. And then in the end, we create the sevenfold field of protection. So this is all still experimental work. We haven't targeted so strongly as we have been doing that during this last, is it already coming 2 months almost that we have been working together. So hopefully we have been gaining that much of knowledge and alignment together that we are somewhat effective. Let us try at least that.
I just want to
Yeah.
say one thing. One of the ways of thinking about the sound, but of course, without true monadic contact, it's not possible to be effective. But the sound, dear, the echo is on. The sound is the O without the M. The soul note is the OM. So that there's a distinction there. Now there are other ways to examine this, but the seal of matter, M, has not yet been put upon the sound. And there's other ways to investigate it in terms of the A and the AU and the AUM, but the O without the M, remember that O is the vowel correlated with Jupiter. And Jupiter is the ruler of the monadic plane from which the sounding Akasha is derived. It's a complicated issue and one that requires some investigation, but we're on our way eventually. Okay, I'm going to
And just relax and breathe deeply, white light a few times. And then visualize the blue indigo light, which is coloring the group. place ourselves again around the governmental triangle in united purpose. Align with your triangle members, all your co-workers of light, and let us call them to stand in mass intent. And because we see that there are really forces which tries to precipitate upon the physical plane. So let us turn towards Master R, who is the regent for America and Europe. And we have our private moment just to communicate, try to clear your mind and try to see very accurately what is going on. So let us use this moment for that communion. Venus is the highest ruler of Capricorn. And we can imagine five-pointed star, which is symbolizing Venus, the soul powers. Let us now imagine five-pointed star above the group, who is now gathered together. Also align with this constellation of Capricorn, through which the energies are pouring into our solar system and finally finds its way also into the group life. That is one of the reasons why groups are reacting. Thus these energies in Capricorn are so strong. If one cannot respond to the higher vibrations of the Capricorn, it is affecting the lower part, what we are seeing at this time. reflect again how the group is freeing the Prometheus, the solar angelic aspects in this situation. Surely it is also globally going on, but now what is focused so strongly in United States? If we are aiming to free Prometheus, we have to descend to the lower realms, into the darkness as Hercules did. Through Capricorn, first ray is pouring in. And that is how Hercules was able to complete and be successful in this work. He was using the will. Let us focus upon the will through Capricorn, the first ray. Let us stand as a great army of implacable spiritual will. We are guarding ourselves by focusing will to love. And when we are invoking these energies, we must understand that then also we become target by those forces which are against anything what hierarchy tries to do and what Christ tries to do. Let us stand in the silence of a loving heart and wield this will. We also consciously align with the great constellation Altair, which is behind the third decanate of Capricorn. And now we are in the last degrees of Capricorn. And there is this powerful star Altair, very first ray star. Let us turn consciously our focus upon these energies. Let the group be strengthened by the energy of Altair and Aquila, the eagle. This eagle is one of the mystery birds. It was the eagle of Zeus and was carrying Ganymede to Mount Olympus to be a cupbearer to gods. This energy actually helps us to become the real server, world server in Aquarius. Let us take in these building energies. In this meditation, we use a lot of visualizations. So visualize how this energy, when it is pouring in, on the top of your head appears the urn of water of Aquarius, and the water of life is starting to pour through the group. Aquila is one of and Altair is one of the points of the triangle, which is called Summer Triangle in the heavens, formed by Vega and Deneb. The constellations Aquila, Lyra, and Cygnus. But this is the doorway, which is called the portal of angels. The angel kingdom is very near humanity during this time. And for some reason or another, mystery reasons, which belongs to soul life, these energies are coming so close to humanity at this time of the year. Let us be aware of that inpour of angelic energies and help. The soul of the United States needs help. Through this event, we can see that some kind of initiatory process is going on. We again recognize that that is the case and that we have come together to dissipate these horrible clamors. We align with this Dharma, I light the way. And that is what DK talks, that it is the light what has to be precipitated so that the evil forces can be chased back upon the astral plane. He for whom the whole world waits has said that whatsoever shall be asked in his name, and with faith in the response, we'll see it accomplished. We have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya, be with us. Welcome his presence. Let us be aware that there are hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions in the army of the Christ. All of these light forces are with us, but they are waiting that we are expressing the call. Let us do that as unified group, calling their help and coming to aid. And when we are now working in those lower fields, let us perform the cross of divinity for protection. And I think now we all know how to do it. Forehead. As the soul I work in light. Heart. And darkness cannot touch me. Left eye. I take my stand within the light. Right eye. I work, and from that point I never move. Let us visualize the cross of divinity in front of every single member of this group. Reflect now one question. Do you want to turn the wheel? Do we want to turn the wheel? towards the new, better tomorrow, towards the new age, and towards the kingdom of God, the kingdom of souls to be manifested on earth. If we do so want, let us perform the mudra, turning of the wheel, the powerful mudra that the Buddha was holding. It's called also the mudra of Dharma. Now we have the star above the group, the cross of divinity, and the mudra of turning of the wheel. Standing as one great army of standing in the implacable spiritual will, using our words in the name of the Christ. We are standing here to change the future towards the light. And we demand in the name of the Christ that it is the soul who has the right to be established and to lead the day. And we are strongly aligned with Master R. Now we start to work with the angel kingdom. We call the forces of light, the Archangel Michael, who is the leader of the heavenly host and the protector of the Christ consciousness and the Christ spirit. I just heard Michael saying that I'm not hurt.
No, you're not coming from. Yes, she said she hears you.
Okay, good.
Now it's good.
So we ask to be created a wall of protective energies. And we focus now again upon the guardian, the governmental triangle. And at the same time, when we are focusing any of these points, imagine in your creative imagination these subtle walls to be created, which is protecting every single worker and keeping away all illegal actions or violence or hatred. Everything under the will of God. We salute these great angels, the emanations of the Archangel Michael standing above the White House, Capitol, and Supreme Court. We salute their presence, and we are asking them to continue to protect and to be on guard. To transform whatever little stream would enter in, to use their sword to cut all of these evil streams. We salute the 4 guardians around the 4 cardinal points of White House. And all of those smaller angels which are at the doorways and corners and halls inside the building. We salute their presence and we invoke them to stand and continue to protect during these coming days. We salute the 4 guardian angels in 4 cardinal points of the Capitol. We ask them to continue their work of protection. We salute all the smaller angels at the doorways and corners and halls. But we call them to continue to protect every single worker who are just doing their part. We ask every single evil means, plan, whatever would try to stop and destroy the plan of the soul, or use any violence or illegal actions, that it will be stopped. It will be found and will be brought under the law of the land. We focus especially now around this capital, that the wall, protective wall, is strong and strengthened by the will of the group. We salute as well the four guardian angels in four cardinal points of the Supreme Court. We ask them to continue their work of protection, watching over. And we salute all of those smaller angels at the doorways, corners, and halls. Let us reflect also as a sign of our work. Project now 5-pointed star above the White House. Above the Capitol. Above the Supreme Court. We are aware of the governmental triangle. Thus, this is the triangle which is through which the very manifested work upon the physical plane is taken place. We are now moving into the meditation, which Michael was giving us insights. Let us listen first few words by DK. He says, I have emphasized this point because our second phrase, let the group widen all the rents within those veils. It has reference here to disciples and the groups which they have everywhere gathered around themselves. It is these groups, many in number and differing in ray potency, which will lead the world through the post-war period into the new age. It is their pressure upon the physical plane which has precipitated the crisis between the great white lords and the black lords. Their work is to let in the light. And where the light goes, the black lords must fade out and disappear. It feeds on clamor and illusion and uses the veils of Maya as a protection. This group, the new group of world servers, their destruction today, through it was not so earlier, has to come from the dense physical plane, and the attack must be made by personalities and individualities dwelling in physical bodies. So then, when the evolution progressed, and the man, the humanity became intellect, so then began to make itself felt the four veils of Maya, and the great curtain of clamor began to condition the mental plane. Illusion then appeared, and the distinction between truth and falsehood, between good and evil, and between the left-hand path and the path of initiation became apparent to the advanced humanity of that time. So let us realize and contemplate upon humanity and those who hate, how they have been trapped in these veils. Fear, hopelessness, hate, depression, all of those. And all of that is because of the power of these veils. And when these forces were gradually organized and took the organized form, the veils and the four veils of Maya came into being, and the seven separating energies became well defined. That is why we are working on the level of ethers. The organization of the etheric plane has been going on, subject to the impact of energies and forces. When this differentiation was complete, two great planetary events happened. The seven centers in human body, 5 up the spine and 2 in the head, were esoterically in shape. And these 7 chakras are that's why related to the veils as well. And also the 7 ashrams of the masters in their 7 groups appeared motivated from Shambhala. So when we look this alignment, the veils which are conditioned by the 7 energies, our 7 chakras and 7 ashrams. Then one of the results of this mental development in humanity was the sending of the disciples out into the world of human and humanity. They issued forth in large numbers, and whilst preserving their conscious link with the ashram with which they were affiliated, they could be trusted to live among human people and to bring their potency to bear upon the problem of Maya and clamor, doing so from below upwards. This work had to be done by disciples who could stand under pressure, who could and would, in spite of all difficulties, live nobly and prepare for and take the initiation which was for them their next step. So now we start this meditation. Let us reflect the white light purifying us, pouring through all the vehicles, and reflect. We stand in love. You can now perform the mudra abhaya, fearlessness. Om. Let us now focus the force at the jewel's point. The jewel in the lotus in every chakra. And find the veil that it can touch. Carry now the force from point to point. And then project upon the veils. Look for the energy in form behind the veil. Behind the veil attacked. The energy in form behind the veil attacked. A rent within the veil exists. Find it and see. A path lies through the veils, giving access to the several courts. Walk on that path, wielding destruction, and clearing out the refuse in the court. The court of the money changers is the last. Walk on that path, wielding destruction and clearing out the refuse in the court. The court of the money changers is the last. Meet the descending forces and find the current which is yours. Watch for the evil stream of force which seeks to mend the rents. Project upon that stream of energy of which you know. It led you from the ashram into the veils. Use it and drive the evil back onto the astral plane. The cross of divinity is shining forth and protects the group in our imagination, standing around the governmental triangle. Let us turn outward towards the world. And now projecting the full power of the will and light, protecting these coming days, driving the evil back onto the astral plane. Work with the sound and know it as the source of power. Use first the voice, then use the Om, and later use the sound. All three together will suffice. And we can turn back towards the center. So we use the word by sounding the great invocation number 2.
Let the Lords of Liberation issue forth. Let them bring succor to the sons of men. Let the rider from the secret place come forth, and coming save. Come forth, Almighty One. Let the souls of men awaken to the light, and may they stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of woe has come. Come forth, O Mighty One. The hour of service of the saving force has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, O Mighty One. Let light and love and power and death fulfill the purpose of the coming one. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, O Mighty One, and blend these three. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end.
And we focus back to the great layout and all this symbolism. Let us imagine how from the Christ pours in the great second ray, the soul ray of United States, and colors now the triangle in indigo blue. This is the triangle which is concretizing things. But then this formation or cross, let us realize that which is more subtle and is activated at the moment. Let us imagine in the center of the cross the five-pointed star shining forth the energies of Buddhi, drawing in all the good qualities, all that what is supposed to be manifested. So may that time start now. The rule of evil must end. The rule of good must start. For the end, we will perform the sevenfold field of living fire. Let us visualize how we are standing around the triangle, and in the center, we create this wheel of protection. Before us, we create in our creative imagination a wheel of fire with 7 spokes of love. In rainbow colors, see yourself and the inner working group standing now in the center at the hub of the wheel. which radiates the living, all-consuming substance of love. And now yourself and the group, as if we were that hub. From that central position, we send out 7 streams of living fire, radiating upon the world in all rainbow colors. And the wheel becomes bigger and bigger, protecting the whole country. We keep on standing and holding our posts. We do not let go before this process has been ending. We can now release our mudras, but in our imagination, we can continue this protective sevenfold wheel of living fire to protect this process and also to protect yourselves. With gratitude, we again state, in the end, let thy will be done, not ours. So, dearest friends, we continue tomorrow at 8 p.m. GMT, but for the end you are going to hear, I hope this is going to be successful. 1 second. one piece of music if I manage to do this.
The father of American folk music, Pete Seeger, his grandson, Tyler. Lead us, Pete.
You sing it with us. We'll give you the words. When I was walking that ribbon of highway,
as I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me, and in the skyway, I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me.
everybody sing it.
This land is yours. This land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me.
Everybody.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
In the squares of the city, by the shadow of the steeple, by the relief office, I saw my people as they stood there hungry. I stood there whistling.
This land was made for you and me.
A great high wall tried to stop me. Great big sign there. Private property. On the other side, it didn't say nothing. That side was made for you and me.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. Yeah, this land was made for you and me.
Nobody living can ever stop me. As I go walking on Freedom Highway. Nobody living can make me turn back.